Hello to everyone out there who's watching this. I'm Leandra. I just want to open up by acknowledging that I'm presenting today on the unceded lands of the Witjabul people of the Bundjalung Nation. I acknowledge that their sovereignty has never been ceded and that their connection to the land is ongoing. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Act, 1999, and is it failing to do its job? Our case study today is going to be the logging of the Kalang River headwaters. So today I'll start off by talking about what is the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. It's the federal government's central piece of legislation. It's a legal framework to protect and manage nationally and internationally significant flora, fauna, ecological communities and heritage places. Under the Act, it's considered a legal offence to cause significant impact or create a project that will cause significant impact to threaten flora, fauna or ecological communities, as well as heritage places. For a project to go ahead, it can be approved by the Federal Minister for the Environment. The Minister can make the approval if they are satisfied that the application is not consistent with Australia's obligations under the Biodiversity Convention, the APA Convention or CITES, that it's going to promote the survival and/or enhance conservation status of each species for the community, is not inconsistent with any recovery plan for the species or community or threat abatement plan, and has had regard to any approved conservation advice for the species or community. There are 5 different levels of assessment. Each level involves considering technical information assembled by the proponent, as well as comments made by the public. Now that we've had a rundown on the EPBC and its intended functions, we'll further investigate, is it failing to do its job? Let's take a look at New South Wales Forestry Corporation's proposed project to log the forests surrounding the Kalang River headwaters. The headwaters of the Kalang are located on Gabangia country in the hills of the Belgian Shire. So what's the plan? New South Wales Forestry Corporation has proposed to harvest logs at Roses Creek and Scotchman State Forests surrounding the headwaters of the Kalang. Here we have a harvest map sourced from New South Wales Forestry Corporation. I'll point out a few features on the map, if you can really see them, so we can build a better understanding of what's going on in the image. The map shows us in blue lines, you might not be able to see, the rivers and streams, and there's a thick pale blue line down the bottom. That's the Kalang River. The yellow areas on the map are general harvesting operations. There's little shapes dispersed across the map, and they represented identified threatened species that they found in the area. You might not be able to tell from there, but actually a lot of the located threatened species are in the general harvest area. This seems pretty weird to me given the information we've just talked about before concerning the function of the EPBC. In this table on the other side, I've compiled a list of the threatened species that live in the area, the status, and the number of sites that they've been identified in. The data for this table is compiled from New South Wales Forestry Corporation's Ecological Survey. We see milky silkpod, glossy black cockatoo, yellow-bellied glider, koala, little bentwick bat, sphagnum frog, little lorikeet, varied sitella, and the rufous scrubbird. I've added an asterisk into the table next to the koala at sites identified because since then a viable breeding population of koalas has been found in the area. The ecological survey was conducted in the forest only, but I'd like to highlight that a community survey conducted in the Bellinger River catchment, which includes the Kalang waters, reported 123 platypus sites. The platypus is listed as threatened and is very sensitive to water conditions, so further degradation of its habitat is likely to affect the animal. So what happens when state and federal policy intersect? If there is a clash between state and federal policy, then the federal law will override the state law. The proposed logging site comes under a regional forest agreement. An RFI is a bilateral agreement between the federal and state governments under the Regional Forest Agreements Act 2002. Provisions under the RFA state that the State Forestry Corporation must apply a range of management strategies and plans and protect rare and threatened flora and fauna species and ecological communities. It is also a provision under the Regional Forest Agreement that the parties will continue to consult on the priorities for listing threatened species, ecological communities, and threatening processes, and the preparation of recovery plans, recognising that priorities can change in the light of new information. Now, the community of the Belgian Shire is not supportive of the logging of the Kalang headwaters. A letter from the Belgian Environment Centre regarding the inquiry into koala populations and habitat of New South Wales highlights some discrepancies with New South Wales Forestry Corporation's process and protocol. Here are some of the issues that the letter highlights. The New South Wales Forestry Corporation's website posting bears little resemblance to what is actually going on in the forests of the Kalang River catchment. In contrast to the Forest Corporation's ecological surveys and recent community surveys for koalas undertaken by the Kalang River Forest Alliance, volunteers across state forests at the headwaters of the Kalang have found evidence of significant viable breeding population of koalas. The soils are highly erodible and likely to lead to pollution of the river and its tributaries. Environmental repair of local soils should be undertaken instead of logging. And as against protecting the health of the Kalang River, as claimed on the website, a recent community audit by the North East Forest Alliance of recent logging in the Gladstone State Forest has revealed a failure to implement erosion control measures as required by the EPA, and the fisheries licenses and subsequent pollution of the waterways leading into the Kalang River. So, if we return to our original question, is the EPBC Act failing to do its job? Case study, logging of the Kalang headwaters. We can assess our information and make a conclusion. Logging of the forest surrounding the Kalang headwaters is detrimental to multiple threatened species, and the project is not going to promote the survival and/or enhance the conservation status of each species or community in the area, nor are the New South Wales Forestry Corporation taking on new information regarding environmental impacts, as the policy states they must. Under the Forestry and National Parks Estate Act 1998, New South Wales Forestry Corporation actually does have a responsibility to protect the rare or threatened flora and fauna and ecological communities in the area, which they seemingly are not doing. Given the information we've reviewed today, the trustworthiness of New South Wales Forestry Corporation to adhere to the EPBC Act seems low. This is further enhanced by the community response and experience with the Forestry Corporation. The EPBC Act is failing to perform its function in protecting our threatened flora and fauna. If you wish, I want to finish up by mentioning that this year there is a once in a 10-year opportunity to review and amend the EPBC Act, and public comments are open till beginning of April. There's a link here and on the handout, and I encourage you to submit your feedback and make your voice heard. I also encourage you to show your support with the Kalang River Forest Alliance, who are at the blockade camps of the logging sites right now during this public health crisis, and you can find them on Facebook with the link here on the handout as well. And you can also find out more about the proposal to create the Great Koala National Park, which the proposed logging area would be a part of, which would secure habitat for our remnant koala populations. Anyway, thanks for your time and attention, you mob. Hope you're all staying healthy and responsible during this time.